So, what I wanted to talk about next here was the nurture of eating. In our society, especially in American culture, we have an epidemic of obesity. Lots of people are way too fat. They're eating way too much, and there's a big obesity epidemic. And what I wanted to share with you were some reflections I had based on your post and some other information on why that's really the way. And actually, if you go to other countries, they always talk about Americans in other countries, and they always know the Americans because so many Americans are obese, and that's how they know them in these other countries. I think a lot of this in America is actually tied to lots of different factors. And what I wanted to present to you, actually it looks like in B here, I kind of present three ideas to you. Big business. There's a lot of business tied to Americans eating a lot of food. There's a lot of marketing, a lot of TV commercials. There's a lot of access to food. Access to a lot of fattening food, and there's really a lack of exercise as well. The one model that I've seen that I think provides a nice kind of account for this whole thing is called the leaky barrel model of eating and satiety. And I think I have a picture for you on one of these pages. Let's see what we got here. Yes, the leaky barrel model of weight control. Very interesting idea here. The amount of water entering the hose is the amount of food coming in. And certainly in American culture, I would think that we have a lot of food coming in these days. The water pressure is actually the incentive value of the food. You watch all these TV commercials, you have all this fattening food, and the incentive value is so strong. So many things in our American culture are tied to eating yummy food. So there's a lot of pressure in the hose. Water coming into the barrel is analogous to the amount of food consumed. If it all tastes so good, and the stuff that really tastes good is the fattening stuff, and it's at social situations and all over the place, and it's cheap, and it's, a lot of calories, you're going to have a lot of food coming into the barrel. The water in the barrel is the weight of the person. So if you keep doing all these things, you're going to have a lot of weight on the person. The pressure of the barrel on the hose, that's the satiety signal. And many times people ignore the satiety signal because of all the social cues going on here. And then the water coming out, the number of calories being burned. And in our current culture and society, there's not a lot of forced exercise. If you go back 200 years ago, people had to walk all over the place. They had to burn calories, and now in our culture, this isn't really happening. So this leaky barrel model of eating and of weight control, I kind of find it a little bit compelling here. Fast food organizations do a lot of stuff to get us to eat. There's a lot of money in eating, and so this is kind of the way I see it. So what I wanted to talk about next are kind of some approaches to help with the obesity epidemic. And a lot of you did find some very interesting products out there, and I actually think I've posted some information about some of these various products. The first one, going into psychopharmacology, something called Belvig. Belvig is a very interesting product. It's actually a serotonin receptor agonist. One of the key signals in the brain that we know about is when you are full, it seems in the hypothalamus, serotonin is secreted when you are full. So it appears that this receptor agonist, and it's called the receptor 2C, it's the receptor subtype thing. Can we actually make something that works at this receptor subtype, doesn't cause all the problems with any other behaviors, but just fixes the eating problem, and then can help out with that and not cause everything else to go astray? So Belvig seems to be doing that. They've done the clinical trials. I've given you the information. You can read about it. It actually did involve behavior modification as well. And so summarize a few key points for this. It was approved by the FDA for this particular drug. So that is one of the drugs actually out there. The next drug, what is it? Kismia. I think that's the name of it. Very interesting product here for Kismia, a combination of phentermine, which is actually an amphetamine, and Topamax. Topamax is an epileptic drug, and it's actually used for significant psychiatric disorders as well, but it's actually a GABA agonist. And so it's been very interesting. They did this in an FDA-approved trial. These products were already out there. So they just had to do a couple of studies on this, and they actually found that if you were doing the 1 year treatment where you actually were getting behavioral management as well, that people getting this drug that actually is a GABA agonist and is actually a amphetamine, that it actually really helped people out. I liked a lot of your posts, though, where you said, well, if you're going to go to the trouble of taking a product like this, why don't you just do it the right way, which is kind of the third way, which are things like Weight Watchers and other cognitive behavioral things. So what I'd like you to do is read the article I have on Weight Watchers and kind of summarize why that program tends to be effective. They use a lot of cognitive and behavioral components. Surgery, I also have an article, I think, on surgery. That generally doesn't work either, because many times people don't change their behaviors once again. So what I'd like you to do is read through these documents, kind of summarize each one of them kind of in your own words with a few key points. And to summarize my points, I think, the idea of obesity, it's a huge problem in our society today. The best approaches that I know for this are the cognitive behavioral ones, but people many times lack the motivation to do it. Many times people are looking for the pill that's going to fix it. These two approved drugs aren't going to just do the job themselves. It's really going to take more of these cognitive and behavioral things with these other drugs as well. So obesity is a big epidemic in our society, and hopefully this makes some good sense for you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.